It started on a cold night in Paris. Two entrepreneurs, Travis Kalanick and Garrett Camp, were standing on the street, struggling to find a taxi. Snow was falling, time was ticking, and frustration was building. And in that moment, a simple question changed everything. What if you could request a ride with just a tap on your phone? That one idea would go on to disrupt an entire industry. In 2009, that idea became reality with the founding of Uber. But at the time, it wasn't called Uber. It was Uber Cab, a small startup with a big ambition to make transportation as easy as ordering a product online. The concept was simple but powerful. Open an app, press a button, and a car arrives. No waiting on the street, no calling dispatch, no uncertainty. In a world where taxis were unreliable and often frustrating, this idea felt revolutionary. But here's the truth. Uber didn't start as a global giant. It started small, really small. In 2010, Uber launched its first service in San Francisco with just a handful of cars. At first, it wasn't even affordable. It was a premium black car service, more expensive than regular taxis. But people loved it, not because it was cheaper, but because it was better. Convenience had entered the transportation industry, and that's when things started moving fast. Uber expanded to New York in 2011, then Paris, then cities across the United States. By 2013, it was in multiple countries. By 2015, it was expanding rapidly across the globe. This wasn't just growth, it was domination. But Uber didn't just grow, it evolved. In 2012, Uber introduced UberX, a move that completely transformed its future. Before that, Uber was seen as a premium service, mostly limited to black cars. It wasn't for everyone. But UberX changed the game by allowing everyday drivers to use their own vehicles, making rides significantly cheaper, sometimes nearly 1/3 the cost of earlier services. That single decision unlocked massive growth. Suddenly, Uber wasn't just for a niche audience, it became accessible to millions. Drivers now had a new way to earn income using something they already owned, their car. Passengers, on the other hand, could travel more affordably and conveniently. As prices dropped, demand surged. More users joined, more drivers signed up, and the platform began to scale at an incredible speed. Then came another breakthrough, Uber Pool. This feature introduced the idea of shared rides, where passengers heading in the same direction could share a single trip. By matching multiple riders on similar routes, Uber reduced costs even further while increasing efficiency. It wasn't just about saving money, it was about maximizing resources. More people in fewer cars, less idle time for drivers, lower costs for riders. It was a smarter system. And that's exactly what Uber was building. Not just a company, but a dynamic platform, a system that connected people, vehicles, and technology in real time, constantly optimizing itself with every ride. But the most important part? Uber didn't stop there, because it was never just about rides. It was redefining how the world moves. It expanded, again and again. In 2014, Uber entered food delivery with Uber Eats. At first, it was a side project. Today, it's one of the largest food delivery platforms in the world. That's the power of adaptation. And while expanding services, Uber was also expanding geographically. By the mid-2010s, it was operating in dozens of countries, rapidly becoming a household name. Its growth was so fast that by 2015, Uber became the most valuable startup in the world, valued at over $50 billion. Think about that. From an idea on a snowy night to a company worth billions. But here's where the story gets real, because success came with challenges, big ones. Uber faced intense resistance from taxi industries around the world. Governments questioned its business model, lawsuits piled up. In some places, it was banned entirely. Critics argued that Uber was disrupting too fast, breaking rules and creating chaos. And internally, things weren't perfect either. The company's aggressive culture pushed employees to the limit. Long hours, high pressure, constant competition. At one point, the company faced major scandals that shook its leadership. In 2017, everything changed. Travis Kalanick stepped down as CEO. A company built on speed and aggression needed stability. That's when Dara Khosrowshahi stepped in, and this marked a new chapter. Under new leadership, Uber shifted its focus from growth at all costs to sustainable growth. It improved relations with regulators, focused on profitability, and streamlined its business. Then came another major moment. In 2019, Uber went public, becoming one of the biggest IPOs in history. But the road wasn't smooth. The stock struggled. Investors questioned whether Uber could ever become profitable. For years, the company operated at a loss. And then, something changed. After years of expansion, restructuring, and refinement, Uber finally achieved a major milestone. In 2023, it reported its first annual profit. That moment proved something important. Uber wasn't just a fast-growing startup, it was a sustainable business. Now, take a step back and look at the journey. A simple idea in 2008, a startup in 2009, a global expansion in the 2010s, and a profitable tech giant in the 2020s. That's not just growth, that's transformation. But what truly makes Uber an industry leader is not just its size, it's its impact. Uber didn't just build a company, it changed how the world moves. Before Uber, getting a ride meant waiting, calling, or hoping for availability. After Uber, transportation became instant, reliable, on demand. And its influence goes beyond just rides. What Uber truly created wasn't just a transportation service, it helped build an entirely new way of working, the gig economy. Today, millions of people around the world earn income through platforms like Uber, choosing when they work, how long they work, and how much they want to earn. It changed the traditional idea of a job. No fixed schedule, no office, just flexibility. And that shift didn't just impact drivers, it reshaped how people think about income, independence, and opportunity. This is where Uber's real influence becomes clear. It didn't just solve a problem, it changed behavior. But perhaps the most powerful part of Uber's story is this: it never stopped evolving. From the very beginning, Uber understood something many companies fail to realize. Success is not a destination, it's a moving target. So instead of staying in one lane, Uber kept expanding. From ride-hailing to food delivery with Uber Eats, from simple transportation to logistics and freight services, from a local startup in San Francisco to a global platform operating across continents. Today, Uber operates in over 70 countries and thousands of cities worldwide. Like this video if you believe one idea can change the world, and comment below what's your big idea, because the next billion-dollar idea might be yours.